Weekend Walkabout, it welcomes you back. Wait, it's not my turn. Welcome back to Weekend Walkabout in our gardens and yours virtually.
We're talking about late winter pruning, reason for visible framework. I'm Stephen.
I'm Janet, and we're coming to you from gardenataz.org. And I told you I put the breaks in all the wrong places then. Okay. If you're trying to grow something into a permanent structure like a tree or a tree-like shrub, now is a great time to be able to see the structure because it is visible. And on those young plants to look and say, you know what, that branch that's coming across everything else really does not need to be there. It needs to come out. I'm seeing this plant as a 6-inch trunk, 2-trunk tree, and it does not want to have a plant branch crossing across. Now is the time to be looking at those things and seeing it, or to notice things like the redbud blooms really well. Look at all those seed pods all over it. And it's covered with leaves and you don't really look into it very much. And now you look into it and go, you know, that's probably why I have to keep hitting my head while I'm mowing is that low branch. We can work on the low branch. We can work on the, well, you know, it's got a vigorous tree coming up right in the middle of it.
It's doing great.
Maybe I can just take off the rest of the other parts. You can see those things at this time of year.
Yeah.
Vigorous one coming straight up there.
2 of them.
It's also the time of year when you can look and see your lines. Hedges, for instance, should bow out at the bottom. The batter should be sloping wider at the bottom than at the top. Because if they do it the other way, then the top shades the bottom and the bottom thins itself out. So you can see that kind of stuff this time of year. You can see this is another panicle hydrangea. And it is an old, these guys live a long time if you let them.
Oh, there's some out east in the tree form that are.
Yeah. And there are definitely some branches that can come out of here and ask the plant to give us some replacement branches from lower down. They're not vigorous anymore. See the one that's trailing off to the right-hand side and has almost no twigs on it. That's one that you would say, you know, we can take that off of there and get some new branches. You're also looking at the natural habit or form of things. This is a witch hazel. And it is a spreading witch hazel. Some witch hazels are more, if you want it to be tree-like,
upright, then a shape.
And if you want it to be a tree-like plant, then this is the time of year that you're looking and saying, you know, branches are getting heavy enough that they're starting to drag down on top of people's heads, and I need to do some pruning back there. But they each have their own. This is a different type of witch hazel, and you can see in the background the upright spray that they are. You can see the natural habit of the plant. And if you can work with the natural habit rather than trying to make this into, say, a ball or a square because it wants to be a vase, then you might save yourself a lot of trouble. And we could all save ourselves a lot of trouble if we would stop cramming so many plants into so much space.
Hey, you saw how big those witch hazels were.
Yeah, you saw how big. And look, there's 4 or 5 witch hazels all jammed in on top of each other there. So you're trying to train, and this is the time of year when you can look and see the structure. That's a red blooming witch hazel. I think that might be Ruby Glow.
Diana.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to speed along here because we're getting to the how-tos. Okay. So that's all the reasons to prune and the things that you want to prune. And you have a whole list that you can get from webinar 23 materials. And I made a link from the same place where you got today's note-taking guide. Now we're going to remind you of a bunch of the things we've told you in the other pruning webinars that you can check back to.